Listen carefully, because what I'm about to tell you will completely change how you see every complaint, every argument, and every irritated reaction from a woman. And before you think this is some attack on women, understand this. Everything here comes from observing thousands of relationships, including my own mistakes. The patterns are so consistent, they feel like laws of nature. There is a mechanism inside the female mind, a program that starts in childhood, that creates ongoing unhappiness, no matter what's happening on the outside. And if you don't understand this, you'll keep trying to fix problems that can't be fixed. You'll apologize for things that aren't your fault, try to be better when you already are, and slowly turn into a weak version of yourself, trying to make an unhappy woman happy. That's like trying to fill a bucket with a hole in the bottom. The most common sentence I hear from married men is simple: "Nothing I do is ever good enough." He brings flowers, the wrong color. He plans a date, the wrong place. He helps around the house. He's doing it wrong. He doesn't help. He's lazy. He works long hours. He's never around. He stays home. He's not ambitious. This endless dissatisfaction, this constant criticism of everything he does or doesn't do, it isn't actually about him. That realization is what frees you from the trap of trying to please someone who cannot be pleased. I saw this pattern in my own life. For about 5 years, I dated different women, different ages, careers, personalities, and the pattern was always the same. The relationship started amazing, then slowly they became unhappy with everything. One woman said I wasn't romantic enough. So with the next woman, I tried to be extremely romantic. Trips, surprises, all of it. She said I was too soft, not masculine enough. So with the next woman, I became more dominant, more decisive. She said I didn't consider her opinions enough. That's when I finally understood. Their unhappiness wasn't because of my behavior. It was already inside them. These women were running old programs, some genetic, some from childhood, some from society, that made happiness almost impossible. They were unhappy before they met me, with me, and after me. Because the problem wasn't the man. The problem was internal. Let me explain the first layer: genetics. Research shows that around half of a person's personality comes from inherited traits. Some women are literally born with brain chemistry that leans toward negativity. Their natural state is to focus on what's wrong, not what's right. Without serious effort to change themselves, they stay unhappy no matter what good things they have. I've seen families where the grandmother was unhappy, the mother was unhappy, and now the daughter is the same way. 3 generations who could have everything: money, love, comfort, and still find something to complain about. It's not a decision, it's a genetic pattern, like having brown eyes or being left-handed. But genetics is only the base. The real issue often comes from childhood programming. Every chronically unhappy woman I've met had one or both of these childhood patterns. 1. A damaged relationship with her father. Maybe he was absent, maybe he was cold, maybe he was aggressive. She grows up believing men will always let her down, and she either chooses men who fulfill that belief or makes even good men feel like failures by setting impossible standards. 2. A mother who was always unhappy. She watched her mom complain, criticize, and never feel satisfied. So she learned that this is normal for women, that constant dissatisfaction is part of being female. Some women always want more, something different, something better. And daughters absorb this like a sponge. They grow up thinking this is normal female behavior. This is how relationships work. This is what marriage looks like. By the time she becomes an adult, the programming is so deep she doesn't even know she's copying her mother's behavior. I've seen countless women repeat their mother's unhappiness even when they swore they'd never be like her. They catch themselves using the exact same words, making the same complaints, and creating the same negative atmosphere they grew up with, because that's what feels familiar. And humans choose what's familiar over what makes them happy, unless they become conscious and change it. Now here's where things get even more twisted. The expectations versus reality gap. Modern women grow up with fantasy-level expectations about relationships. Disney movies, romantic comedies, Instagram couples, TikTok highlight reels. All of this creates the belief that life should feel magical all the time. They think they should be treated like queens every day, with constant romance, excitement, gifts, and emotional highs. Then real life hits. Bills, work stress, chores, routine. A partner who is human and imperfect. And the gap between fantasy and reality turns into disappointment. I knew a woman, let's call her Anna. She was beautiful, smart, successful. She married a genuinely good man with a stable job who adored her. 6 months later, she was miserable. Not because of him, but because she expected marriage to fix her entire emotional life. She thought a husband would heal her childhood wounds, erase her loneliness, and fill every empty space inside her. When that didn't happen, when she still felt the same inside, she blamed him. He wasn't romantic enough. He wasn't successful enough. He wasn't doing enough to complete her. This is called projection, blaming your inner emptiness on someone else. If only he made more money, I'd be happy. He makes more money, she's still unhappy. If only we had a bigger house. They get the bigger house, still unhappy. If only he paid more attention to me. He becomes more attentive. Now he's too clingy. The target keeps moving because the problem isn't the target. The problem is the internal unhappiness that stays no matter how many things change. Another huge cause is the desire versus reality gap created by social media. Women scroll through endless images of luxury lifestyles that only 1% of people can afford. They see influencers driving supercars, living in penthouses, traveling the world, and they think, this is what I deserve. This is normal. This is the kind of life my man should give me. But she married a mechanic, a teacher, an accountant, a normal man with a normal income. And suddenly she feels cheated by life. She thinks he's failing just because he can't provide the fantasy she sees online. I've seen marriages break because of this. A man works 60 hours a week to provide a stable, comfortable life, and she's still unhappy because her old classmate posted vacation photos from Dubai. She doesn't realize that the classmate is drowning in debt, or that the photos are edited, or that it's all staged. She just sees what she doesn't have. And the easiest person to blame is her husband. But even when women get everything they want, the unhappiness continues because of something I call the devaluation mechanism. It works like a psychological law. The moment something becomes hers, it loses value. She was desperate for a boyfriend, gets one. Now she wants marriage. Gets married. Now she wants a different kind of man. Wants curly hair, gets a perm. Now she wants straight hair. Wants bigger breasts, gets surgery. Now she hates her waist. Wants a career, gets one. Now she wants to stay home. Stays home. Now she wants a career again. This devaluation happens in relationships too. The man she once couldn't live without becomes the man she can barely tolerate. His jokes used to be cute. Now they're annoying. His stability used to be attractive. Now it's boring. His attention used to feel romantic. Now it feels suffocating. Nothing about him changed. Only her perception changed. But she doesn't realize it's her pattern. She convinces herself he changed. And one more thing. Envy and comparison are destroying female happiness on a massive scale. Women now have a constant window into thousands of other women's lives, or at least the polished, edited versions of their lives. She sees her coworker's anniversary trip, her sister's house renovation, her friend's new car, her neighbor's weight loss, and suddenly, everything becomes a sign that her own life isn't enough. Her friend Sarah's husband took her to Paris. You took your wife to dinner. She ignores the fact Sarah's husband cheated twice, and they're in counseling. Maria's husband helps with the kids all day. She ignores the fact Maria's husband is unemployed and has nothing else to do. She sees what others have that she doesn't, never what she has that others wish they had. The effect of social media is bigger than most people realize. Women are now comparing their real lives to everyone else's highlight reel. They compare their real relationship to someone else's staged, edited, and performed relationship. Their real struggles get compared to someone else's filtered perfection. This creates a constant feeling of being behind, of being unlucky, of believing everyone else has a better life, and she's stuck with reality. But here's something many men don't understand. A lot of women are not intentionally dishonest. They've simply been raised to wear masks. Since childhood, girls are taught to play roles, to be whatever they need to be to get attention, love, or commitment. So they act easygoing even when they're high maintenance. They act sexual even when their drive is low. They act domestic even when they hate housework. They act agreeable even when they're controlling. Then, after marriage, the mask comes off. And now she's angry. Angry at the effort she had to put into pretending, and angry at him for not realizing the real her was underneath the whole time. I've seen this pattern over and over. Many women don't feel safe being their true selves because they fear their true selves wouldn't be chosen. So they perform. But performing is exhausting. Exhaustion turns into resentment, and resentment turns into chronic dissatisfaction. She's unhappy because she's not being real, but she can't be real because she thinks the real her isn't good enough. So she stays stuck, and everyone suffers. Another big issue is emotional immaturity, and it's getting worse with each generation. Many women enter relationships without knowing what they actually want. They only know what they're supposed to want. Society, family, friends, Instagram, they all tell her what her life should look like. So she picks a partner for the wrong reasons. She stays for the wrong reasons, then wonders why she feels empty. These women don't have strong boundaries because they don't know who they truly are. They absorb everyone else's expectations and emotions until they feel overwhelmed by a life that isn't even theirs. They choose a partner that looks good to others, a lifestyle that photographs well, a path that matches society's script, not their own desires. Then there's the feminist superiority complex that many modern women have been taught. They grow up hearing they are queens, goddesses, prizes, that they deserve everything, and that men should be grateful just to be near them. This creates a twisted dynamic where men are seen as tools, something to provide, worship, or serve. But here's the truth. You cannot respect someone you believe is beneath you, and no relationship can survive without respect. I once knew a woman who literally called men animals and dogs, yet she couldn't understand why she felt empty in relationships. She treated men like servants and then wondered why she never felt real love. You cannot build a genuine connection with someone you secretly look down on. It's impossible. And then there's the self-sabotage. Many men are confused because they date women who seem to destroy their own happiness. She says she wants stability, but then creates chaos. She says she wants peace, but starts fights. She says she wants love, but pushes affection away. This isn't conscious manipulation. It's deep, unconscious programming. She is recreating the dysfunction she grew up with because dysfunction feels safe. It feels familiar. Peace feels strange. Stability feels suspicious. Happiness feels temporary. I've watched women ruin great relationships out of thin air because the calm felt uncomfortable. The love felt too good. The happiness felt unreal. So they destroy it before it can disappear. They're so convinced happiness won't last that they make sure it doesn't. I've seen the same pattern again and again. Women destroying good relationships because of what I call grass is greener syndrome on steroids. It's not just thinking someone else might be better. It's being hit every day with photos and stories of how perfect everyone else's life looks. Her social media is filled with engagements, babies, promotions, vacations, glow-ups, and luxury lifestyles. Every post feels like proof that she chose wrong, settled for less, or missed out on something better. And then the biological clock adds pressure most men never feel. Women have a limited time for certain life milestones: marriage, children, building a family. This creates a deep anxiety that can poison any happiness they do have. She's either rushing to hit milestones and stressed, achieving the milestones and disappointed they didn't make her feel different, or missing the milestones and grieving what will never happen. I once spoke to a woman in her late 30s. Great career, nice apartment, stable relationship, but miserable. She told me something I'll never forget. I followed the plan I made at 20, but the plan was wrong, and now it's too late to fix it. She chose career over family, city life over community, independence over partnership, and now feels trapped in a life she built but no longer wants. Then there's the manipulation and testing many women do without even realizing it. They test boundaries to feel safe, but that creates conflict. They manipulate to get their needs met, but that destroys trust. They create drama for intensity, but that drains everyone. They're building their own unhappiness while believing they're trying to protect themselves. And this goes all the way back to childhood. Little girls are raised with princess programming, told they're special, unique, and deserve a perfect prince, a perfect life, and a fairy tale ending. But real life isn't a fairy tale. Prince Charming has bad habits. The castle is a small apartment, and happily ever after is just everyday life with chores, bills, stress, and normal human flaws. Now add economic reality. Women are told they can have it all: career, family, adventure, money, romance, fulfillment, all at the same time. But real life requires trade-offs. If she focuses on her career, family life suffers. If she focuses on family, career progress slows. If she wants financial stability, she might sacrifice freedom or excitement. And admitting these trade-offs feels like failure, so she stays unhappy no matter what she chooses. I've seen career women miserable because they don't have families, stay-at-home mothers miserable because they miss having a career, and women trying to do both miserable because they're exhausted and feel like they're failing at everything. The have-it-all lie created a generation of women who feel like failures even when they succeed, because there's always something they're not doing. But here's the darkest part. For many women, unhappiness becomes an identity. They bond with other women by complaining. They get attention by being victims. They avoid responsibility by blaming others. They stay unhappy because it's familiar. It's who they've been for years. Trying to make an unhappy woman happy often makes things worse. Fix one problem, she finds another. Meet one need, she invents a new one. Remove one complaint, she creates a fresh one. Because the issue isn't the problem, it's the identity. Happiness would feel strange and uncomfortable to her. Therapy culture has made this worse. Instead of gratitude, accountability, and emotional maturity, many women learn to see trauma everywhere, to blame childhood for every adult choice, and to focus endlessly on their own wounds. I call this therapeutic narcissism, constant self-focus with zero awareness of how their unhappiness hurts everyone around them. I knew a couple where the woman had been in therapy for 10 years. She didn't get happier. She learned new terms to justify her complaints. He didn't validate her feelings enough. He was emotionally unavailable when he was just tired. He was gaslighting her when he simply disagreed about something. Therapy made her more sophisticated at blaming him instead of taking responsibility. The solutions to female unhappiness do exist, but they require things most modern women refuse to do. The real solution to female unhappiness is not complicated. But most modern women avoid these solutions because they require real effort. True happiness needs things like honest self-reflection, taking responsibility for mistakes, lowering expectations to match reality, practicing gratitude, choosing meaning instead of chasing constant pleasure, and accepting that life and people will always be imperfect. These solutions don't look exciting on Instagram. They don't get likes, they don't get sympathy, and they don't fit the "I'm perfect and it's everyone else's fault" mindset that is so common today. But these simple practices actually work. What's interesting is that many women only become capable of true happiness after they've ruined several relationships. After blaming 3 or 4 different men for their unhappiness, they eventually realize one painful thing. They are the common factor in every failed relationship. After repeating the same problems with different partners, some women finally see their own patterns. After losing good men because of their constant dissatisfaction, some finally understand what they had. But for most women, the unhappiness never ends because staying unhappy is easier than changing. It's easier to blame him than to look in the mirror. It's easier to want more than to appreciate what she already has. It's easier to complain than take action. It's easier to keep repeating the same emotional habits than build new ones. And when modern culture keeps telling women that they're perfect as they are, and that any unhappiness is automatically someone else's fault, why would they ever change? The impact on men is brutal. Good men spend years, sometimes their entire lives, trying to make an unhappy woman happy. They don't understand that it's impossible. They give up their own needs, their own peace, their own identity, trying to fill a void they didn't create. Many men end up anxious, depressed, and emotionally drained. They lose confidence. They lose themselves. They walk on eggshells in their own homes, terrified of saying or doing the wrong thing because it might start another emotional storm. They think, if I just try harder, if I do more, if I become better, she'll finally be happy. But she won't. Because the unhappiness is not about him. The hardest truth for men to accept is this: you cannot make an unhappy woman happy. If she was unhappy before you, she will be unhappy with you, and she will be unhappy with the next man. The problem isn't you. The problem is inside her, and only she can fix it. This doesn't mean all women are unhappy, or that relationships are hopeless. But many women carry childhood programming, emotional wounds, unrealistic expectations, and learned behaviors that make happiness extremely difficult, no matter what their life actually looks like. And if you're with a woman like this, you need to understand something very clearly. Her unhappiness is not your fault. It's not your responsibility, and you cannot fix it. Here's the simple test. Was she genuinely happy before you met? Does she show happiness in other parts of her life? Does she take responsibility for her emotions? Does she practice gratitude? Does she have realistic expectations? If the answer is no, then you're dealing with someone who is chronically unhappy, and nothing you do will change that. That's the real reason so many women feel unhappy today, not because of men, not because of life, but because of internal programming and habits that create constant dissatisfaction. Understanding this won't magically solve everything, but it frees you from wasting your life trying to repair something you didn't break and can't fix. Her happiness is her job, not yours. Until she takes responsibility, she'll remain unhappy, no matter what man she's with, what lifestyle she has, or how much she achieves.